to this computer. All right. You guys hear that? All right. So we are
Yes,
recording in
sir.
progress. All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the second Pig CEO call. I'm happy to have this call here with Siggi and some of his team members here from Equilibrium Labs, and some of you may know him, otherwise known as Deliverance. And appreciate, Siggi, you getting on this call here at 10 p.m. from London. And as always, appreciate all the Pig investors and members who are in three, actually technically with Steve in Hawaii, four different time zones across the country. So I appreciate everyone getting on. And the goal for these calls is really just to share with prospective and existing investors straight from the horse's mouth, the CEO's mouth, as to where the company is, where their company, where it was, and where it's going. And so I'll hand it off to Siggi in a second. And there's no script here. I'm not reading off a script. And Siggi and I actually have not spoken on the phone, although we text each other a lot. We have not spoken on the phone in a couple of weeks. So this is going to be like last week's call. It's going to be your show once I hand it off. And then I will take notes and then share this. Actually, I probably don't need to take notes if I'm recording this call. And I will share this with all. But for those who don't know, I got involved in this company as a consumer first. Not to recap an old story that I don't really like to share too much, but my mentor and Steve and Mimi's very good friend of 20 plus years, Mike Moore, passed away, I believe, almost 14 years ago, 2010, of stage 4 cancer, and he liver cancer. He was healthy in June. He was diagnosed with stage 4 in July, and he was dead in December, I think. And it was so fast. And we're talking about a guy that barely ever drank, a jujitsu stud, a great dad of 2 kids, recently engaged, and he actually ended up getting married, on the tail end of his life. And it was really hard. So when I found out that there was a liver care, which involves not only the deliverance, but also the liver testing and stuff that Siggi will talk about. I flew out to Arizona after being introduced here from Mimi, who's my good friend and also a 4X pig investor, actually 5. And I met Siggi and just loved who he was, loved what he stood for. Really felt a connection from a personal standpoint, and I walked away as a consumer. I ended up, I think I was in Scottsdale, Arizona. I think that night I ended up ordering a couple of these boxes just to try them out. And then throughout conversations, we started talking about maybe partnering up where Pig would eventually be the investment arm to Siggi's company, like we are with the other 4 companies. And I loved where the company evaluation was. $15 million. I love where it's going eventually, which is in the billions, which is awesome. We're talking between 75 to 95x returns on the low end, and I just love the whole thing. So we then became official partners, and if many of you met Siggi at our pig event, Siggi was kind enough to bring a $100,000+ liver test kit with Mimi being the administrator of the whole thing. Siggi brought hundreds and hundreds of, well, probably thousands of dollars of these actually to the event and ended up testing everybody.
Thanks so much for holding tight for the wait.
Yeah, I'm still with you.
Hang on, let me mute.
Right.
Mute.
The message doesn't look like she is at first.
Mute. Okay, sorry about that. So, and he ended up doing liver tests with us, and I thought it was great because some people got some not so great news, which is still good news, right? I mean, not great news would have saved Mike's life if he got not great news and then eventually was able to get on a protocol to improve his liver, which, as Siggi will tell you, it's one of the few organs in the body that actually can regenerate if it's not too late. And then others got really great news, like me. I was told I was the one of the healthiest males from a liver standpoint, which if you've drank with me, you know that's almost physically impossible. But that has now given me license to drink as much as I'd like to, as I can. And all I heard was from Siggi that he said I'm the healthiest male he's ever met in his life in all aspects. So I'll take that as a compliment. So, but I do take these daily, and I just to prepare myself for the future damage. And then when I drink, my wife and I take it at night. So anyway, I love this company. I think it's awesome. Siggi was the absolute hit of the event. We left that event with some other commitments we had prior, but we're close to $400,000 has been raised in less than 30 days, which is absolutely awesome. And of course, the goal is to fund more. Siggi, like most companies, needs money, needs capital to be able to open up other liver facilities. So for any of those folks who are on this call or who see this recording, if you've made commitments, financial commitments to want to invest, don't hold on to your money. Please see if you can start getting that. You get it to me, I get it to Siggi within 24 hours, and then he can do what he does best, which is run his company and hopefully get this to a spot where we can all flourish. So that's my intro. I will mute my phone. If you have, let me just repeat kind of what we did on the call last week, which I thought went well. If you have questions, it's probably easier if you text me or text the thread, so we're not asking the same questions. It worked last week. We had 7 people ask the exact same question via text, which was great because I was able to ask it once. And that way it keeps us hopefully to a from this point 30 to 45-minute maximum on this call. So with that, I will be quiet. Siggi, take it away.
Cool. Daniel, thank you very much for the lovely introduction, and everybody on the call, thank you for your time. I met most of you. You've had the experience to try the products, to potentially get a test and to see what we're all about. I think most of you know, and if you don't, we are a greater good company that was based off of 20 years of R&D, and our mission is to advance the future of liver health. And we do that in 2 ways. One, which is a phytomedicine, which was the De-Liver-Ance product. And then the other side of the business is our diagnostic side, which is the liver clinic. With the liver clinic, what we do is we partner with existing clinics and or standalone, and we do cutting edge diagnostics from a liver scan, a blood test, anywhere up to a biopsy to make sure that we can take care of a patient and see what the situation is. I mean, our mission is advancing the future of liver health. And we do that through knowledge and through our phytomedicine, which is De-Liver-Ance, and through the diagnostics as well. We're a compassionate capitalist. I think that's really important for everybody to know, is that, in a capitalistic world, we believe in making money for our investors, for our ability to do science, for our ability to provide product and health for people that need it. But we also, why I say compassionate, is we don't profiteer from people that are ill. So if you're a member of the military, policeman, a fireman, a nurse, school teacher, we will treat you at cost. If you have cancer or a serious situation, we'll treat you for free. But our business model, which I think is very noble, which is to build a very profitable billion-dollar business over the next 5 years, that is based on preventing people from getting sick. And a great way to do that is through diagnostics and through phytomedicines and letting people know about a situation that they have. In the Western world, and the US as well, specifically, 38% of the population now has fatty liver and fatty liver disease. And that's what's driving type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, which leads to cardiovascular disease and all kinds of things. And not to be fear-based, but the point is to let people know about health, wellness, nutrition, what the liver is, how amazing the liver is. I mean, the liver is this master organ that controls thousands of functions in the human body, 500 of which are recognized as vital. And the liver is the master of your immune system, your skin, your hair, collagen, vitamins, protein. I mean, if you drink protein drinks, or you take in dietary supplements, or you eat a steak, or you eat a salad, or you eat something toxic, your liver is responsible for that. And most people understand that it's this overlooked organ. So what we're doing is making the public aware of that, helping people treat it, respect it, and love it, but also checking up on the health of it. And in the case that it's not healthy, we will reverse that. But more importantly is preventative medicine. The future of modern medicine society is preventing people from getting ill. And that's what we're all about. We want to prevent people from getting type 2 diabetes. We want to prevent you from getting liver disease. And that's what we do. And we do it in a loving way. We do it through, positive reinforcement, through knowledge, empowering people to do that, and that's what we do. And we happen to have a phytomedicine, which is 17 natural ingredients. It took 20 years of R&D. It is a combination of traditional ancient medicine, which in you have 5,000 years of Kapia, whether it be ancient Chinese, Korean, Ayurvedic, and then we combine that with cutting edge Western medical technology, and that is nanoparticles, liposomal, how it goes into the bloodstream, how your body reacts to it, bioavailability. We look at what's happening in mitochondria as well. And to simplify it, De-Liver-Ance stands on three legs, one of which is it regenerates the liver and optimizes liver health. Secondarily, it increases neurotransmission in the brain, which is why when you take it, and if you have taken it, you'll notice the mental clarity is amazing. It's quick and clear. And then thirdly is the antioxidant, anti-inflammatory actions that we're having and promoting are very, very strong. So that's what we're doing kind of in a simplification of what it is. And in so we're improving people's health, whether it be balancing cholesterol, balancing hormones in women, lowering liver fat, which we can reverse and help promote liver function in an incredible, profound way, specifically fatty liver disease and fatty liver. But as your liver gets healthier, and at the end of the day, the liver is the hero here. De-Liver-Ance and what we do in equilibrium is we give the liver and the hero its cape, its sword, its shield to do what it does. And as that happens, all these other health benefits happen. Healthy skin, healthy hair, more mental clarity, immune system's boosting. And that's what we focused on doing in a lovely way. Our business model is to make people aware via the liver clinic, create public awareness, create diagnostics, and then we have a solution. And if any of you, and I ask you all to, if you Google Johns Hopkins, Harvard, Stanford, you name it, NHS here in London, is there a cure or a treatment for fatty liver? And they'll tell you no. They will just give you some dietary advice and send you on your way. And that's not acceptable. The hack is to promote that and to reverse that and to promote liver health, and we've done that with something that's all natural, has no known side effects, no known adverse reactions, and will make you think clearer, improve your overall health, and boost your immune system. And that's what we do. And we do it with a totally natural product. And it took 20 years of doing that, but it involves very sophisticated science and Western medicine, American, Swiss, British, the cutting edge of how science works, down to the nano level. I mean, one of our key ingredients that we have is a type of sea kelp that only grows in one place in the world, off of South Korea, off of Jeju Island, and it has a molecule in it that is 150 times stronger than any known land-based antioxidant. But to extract that out of that, we have to extract a 1 part per millionth to do that. So we take 1,000 kilos of the sea kelp, it's amazing, they're 400-foot high kelp forests, and we harvest 1,000 kilos of that. We derive it down to 1 kilo, and at the end, after 4 distillation processes, we get 1 gram. So that's the level that we work at to get those natural molecules to improve liver function, mental capacity as well. And we put that into a little bottle, which is 22 milliliters, or in America, it'd be 3/4 of an ounce, that you take, you follow the glass of water, and there's all kinds of health benefits. So our mission is to dramatically advance liver health, prevent people from getting sick, fatty liver disease, diabetes. Those that have it, we will help. So we can be preventative and we can be reactive. And another level of the business, which is really important, of what we're doing, and so Dr. Gareth Smith, who's on our chief medical officer and a key member, we met about 18 months ago, and he is best way to say it, he would be a clinical liver and pancreatic surgical oncologist who has spent 30 years working in the liver field. Specifically, he spent Cleveland Clinic alumnus. That's why he's Welsh. He lives in Cleveland. And he spent a lot of time dealing with cancer patients. And people are looking at cancer from a reactive preventative perspective. And to where Deliverance has a great aspect is, how can we get in there and potentially prevent, but more importantly, those that have to undergo treatment, can we reduce toxicity? Can we make treatment more successful? And we're working on studies together to do that. We had a joint appreciation for the knowledge of medicine. He has joined our board, and then he's advanced now to where he's our chief medical officer. So if you've had the pleasure of speaking to him, you'll know that he's a massive expert, and we're about taking a patient or a customer's hand all the way from maybe they just need nutritional advice all the way up to if you have something more severe, we'll take care of you. So that's what we're about. And I think that's really important, first and foremost, is we're a why company. And if any of you love a great TED Talk and you got 15 minutes, there's a guy called Simon Sinek that is a psychologist out of Texas that does TED Talks, and he does one on people by why you do, not what you do. And he describes great companies that are why businesses. A lot of companies start with a what, then they figure to a how, and then the why comes later. We started with a why, which is a beautiful thing, which is why I think Dan and Mimi really got engaged with us. And our why is preventing disease and helping people's health and changing it, and preventing illness. That's our why. Our how is we create consumable phytomedicines or products that people could take and consume. And our what at the end is the business. So we come from a great place. I think it's a place of love, a place of truth, and a place of making a difference. And yeah, I would ask anybody to try that as well. From a business perspective, we're going to go into the commercials of it. We're a British biotech business. We have relationships with the UK government, the US government as well, as far as studies. We are data-driven and we're evidence-based. So we've spent millions of pounds or dollars on studies to prove out what we've done and to also further advance the science in what we've done. We've done studies at University of Washington in the United States, UCL in the UK, which is the top research institute and university in all of Europe. And we're continuing to do studies across Europe as well, primarily around fatty liver, cholesterol. We're also working in some cancer aspects as well, because the liver is this master organ. I mean, in Chinese medicine, it's known as the general of the body. It's the only organ in the human body that fully regenerates. So if, God forbid, but if you needed a liver transplant, Dan would be so kind as to say, I will help you. We would take a third of Dan's liver, we would put that into you, and then that third would grow to a fully sized double-lobed organ, and Dan's liver would grow back. No organ in the human body does that. And it's also such a complex organ that it cannot be replicated with modern technology. So it's also overlooked, and jokingly, I always say it's the red-headed stepchild of organs. It's misunderstood, it's ignored, and possibly misconstrued. So that's what we're doing. As a business, 20 years of R&D. We had a finalized product, which is De-Liver-Ance, which hopefully many of you tried. It came about in 2016. We went through preclinical studies and research up until today, and we continue to do that. The product was approved for sale in the UK in late 2022, early 2023. So we're coming out of this long phase where there's been millions of pounds of invested in research and development, into now let's commercialize the business. And we've looked at areas where this product can be applicable. From a medicinal standpoint or a health standpoint, functional medicine clinics, integrated medicine, doctors' offices, spas, health centers, that'll be a big sales channel for us. Online will be a huge channel for us as well. And then secondarily, there's I call it a side benefit to the product. And that is because it was developed to reduce toxicity to somebody that's undergoing chemotherapy. The side benefit of that is that it has an ability to dramatically reduce alcohol in the bloodstream if you've been drinking, or to take prior to drinking to reduce that as well. And that does have a very I guess you would say, potent application in lifestyle. So whilst it is a health product, it does have a lifestyle application as well. So another area that we're looking at and been very successful in is hotels, 5-star hotels. So whether it's be in the minibar or the spa or a high-end club, one of the relationships that we've perpetuated primarily via Dance Health would be the Wynn Hotel Group. And as we're a premium product, and to be candid with you, Hilton said we'd love to carry this in all the rooms, and I didn't feel that was the right brand fit. But in Vegas, Wynn Hotel, which if any of you have been to Vegas, it's a 5-star hotel. It's incredibly high end, and it's a great fit for us. They love the product. The management have used the product. The directors of the company use the product, and they're putting it into all of the rooms as part of a revive kit to balance out and reduce toxicity in somebody that's had a lovely day of indulgence. Be a nice way of saying it. But it'll also be available in the spa and as a health club as a product. So it is a health product, and I don't want you to think of it just as it's just a medical product. It crosses several thresholds, whether that be medical, health and wellness, lifestyle, and they all merge in together. Last year we did in, I guess, early stage, without a chief medical officer, without a science officer, without a marketing or sales director, just through word of mouth, we did about 500 grand in revenue. This year we're going to do close to 1.5 to 3 million, and next year's projected to be probably triple that as well. So we're on a 300% growth phase. The product is made in the United States, and it is made in a very high-end fashion with high-end ingredients. So we don't cut any corners. We're not trying to be everything to everybody, but we are targeting the top 5% at this phase, because those are the people that will adopt the product, take the product. And most people take it every day. They take one a day for general health. And if they happen to have something to drink, such as myself or a lot of people on this call, you take another one, and it will act as a sunscreen for your liver if you do decide to have a drink or a Golden Eagle vodka, which is lovely. But I think that's a good way to kind of explain it. I'd open the quorum up for any questions, and I'm happy to chat about it. If any of you have not had a liver scan, please get in touch. We'll try to coordinate one for you. If you'd like some samples, I'm happy to send you some. I look forward to the questions, the chat, and discussing it further.
Yeah, I've got quite a few lined up. So one of which was actually asked on a board call. But Siggi, I loved your answer, because a lot of us who take a lot of supplements already take turmeric. And some of us take, Joe Rogan promotes On It, which is a brain neurofactor thing, which actually our coffee has, strong coffee. But we don't need to take either, right? Because this is already inside the Deliverance. So if you take turmeric as a supplement, you no longer need to buy it. And if you're taking any of those like brain function, memory type pills, you don't need to do that either. Is that correct?
That is very correct. So if I was a greedy banker, I would probably divide the product into multiple products. But what we've done is we tried to put everything into one base supplement, to where this could be your base for the supplement you take every day. We use a very sophisticated component or concentrate of curcumin, which is the active ingredient in turmeric for the anti-inflammatory properties. And turmeric is incredible, right? But we've taken the best bits of it and combined it with everything else. So from an anti-inflammatory aspect, we've got that covered. From a neurotropic perspective, which gives you the brain clarity and all that too, we're increasing neurotransmission dramatically, and everybody's tried the product that probably felt that. And that's increasing the function of the brain to give you that speed or that clarity as well. So we've covered that as well. So it has multiple properties in one thing. I wasn't trying to create a bunch of products to sell to a bunch of people. I was trying to create one fantastic product. That's why it's not inexpensive, but it does many things in one shot. Therefore, not necessitating multiple supplements or the fatigue that can have for people taking too many supplements. And the reason I keep it in liquid is, if you want to make an inexpensive supplement, I've done phytomedicine development for 27 years. You make it in a powder, you make big batches of it, you sell it in pills, and you flog it to the populace. This is a very sophisticated liquid product because you get more bioavailability, you absorb more, it has much more effective, it's more expensive, but it gives you much, much bigger punch when you do it.
Okay. A couple comments here. I do have questions. Couple comments. One of our pig investors, who's not a Deliverance investor yet, just ordered a package. So for anyone who wants, reach out to me if you want some samples. But if you actually want to get on, you go on loveyourliver.com, use Powerhouse Dan, one word, as a code, so you can get a great discount. And then actually, I want to echo something that Nick said. He texted me, I've been taking Deliverance daily for a week, and I feel the best I've felt in years. I actually feel that same way, but I do want to ask you about, you mentioned antioxidants and anti-inflammation. A lot of us, for whatever reason, just because we're aging and because some of us are more active than others, are always beat up, right? Shoulders, neck, knees, all that stuff. Are you saying that taking this actually helps reduce inflammation and then helps clear out some of those antioxidants?
Absolutely. So from an antioxidant perspective, the FDA uses a score called an ORAC score. That's kind of considerate. And give you an example, a piece of broccoli is 50 ORAC score, a blueberry is like 90, and acai berry is 120, lion's mane's 100, what is it, 1,400. The ORAC score of a Deliverance is 8,800. So from an antioxidant capacity, it's incredibly strong. And I'm going to say this really quick and then hand it over to my esteemed colleague, Dr. Gareth. But essentially what happens, especially with an athlete, is you get oxidative stress will cause inflammation. Inflammation feeds oxidative stress. And we get stuck into the cycle and where it's creating and compounding that as well. And what I'm trying to do is crack that cycle by hitting you with so many antioxidants and anti-inflammatories that your body kind of chills out and then stops that cycle and you go into a healing mode as opposed to that as well. And I'll let Dr. Gareth really quick chat on this as well, if you don't mind.
Yep. Go ahead, Dr. G.
Oh,
Hey, let me unmute you. Oh, go ahead. Go.
I'm very sorry, everybody. I have to actually jump to get my flight. It's going to be boarding in 5 minutes. So I've written a couple of comments down in response to a few of the questions raised, and I'm happy to take any other questions via email. I put my email down in the text. So
whatever you were going to say, Dr. G, you and I and Siggi and another person are filming a podcast tomorrow. We'll say it on the podcast and I'll release it so everyone can see it. Cool?
Okay, great. Sounds good. Thanks, everybody. I've got to go now.
All right. See you. Okay, a couple other things here. Siggi, someone sent a picture of dose for your liver, and he says he sees that a lot online. How is Deliverance different from some of these commercialized products about dosing your liver?
So Dose is it's an Indian company, and they make several products which are not bad products. One's based on immunity, one's based on sleep, and one's based off of liver health. What theirs is essentially a concentrate of liver health, and they make some incredibly bold claims about the effects that they have. But if you read into the literature of that, it's about 20 or 30 people that they tested in a very obfuscated study. So if you would, I would say it's better than taking nothing. If you want something that can help your liver from an anti-inflammatory perspective, Dose isn't bad. They also do something which I don't really appreciate, is that the pricing for it is kind of misleading, because when you go down to how many it takes to get to the results that they say, it's about the same price as we are, but it doesn't have any of their effects as well. You know, they base it off of X amount of days, but 2 samples as well. But it's definitely better than nothing, Dose. But from a scientific perspective of comparable, it's not in the same league. So from a Pepsi challenge, it wouldn't be one, but it's not being negative. It's just it's not a bad product, but it has some minor effects on the liver, whereas we have dramatic effects on the liver, the brain, anti-inflammatory, immune system, and mental clarity.
Got it. All right. Dr. G answered a question about liver stiffness, and it says Deliverance reduces liver stiffness in many cases, certainly when associated with fatty liver disease. Dose is very different. Oh, that's what you just said. All right. I won't repeat the question. Okay. More questions here. How, we haven't talked about the liver clinics yet, so I'm going to save that question until you mention what those liver clinics, because there's also revenue stream on that. What are your restrictions in FDA with claims on the product, if any?
So the claims that we make both in the EU, UK, and the US are based off of what's allowed in our FDA, EFSA, and the FSA have approved to do that. So I can't, kind of the golden rule if you're not a drug is you can't say cure, treat, or prevent. So we avoid those terms, but we do use the terms that are approved. We allowed to say it helps to promote liver health, promotes mental clarity, boost metabolism. Those are all things that we're allowed to say. If anything, we are handcuffed of the truth because of regulatory standpoints. Now, we could choose to go down the drug route, which we could do, but it's not necessary because we can cover ourselves being a food supplement, giving ourselves more flexibility as well. So we stay within the guidelines, whether it be EFSA, which is essentially the FDA of Europe, FSA, which is the FDA of UK, and the FDA in the US, which is within the guidelines. So we stay in that ground as a nutraceutical.
Okay, got it. Dennis just got off. For those who don't know, Dennis is one of our pig investors and was at the pig event and he lives here in Dallas. And we are having a podcast with Dennis, Dr. G, and Siggi tomorrow. So where you'll hear the long version, which is a very great story and success story. But Siggi, can you share the short version of Dennis when I rolled out initially via email and then video what this was, that we were partnering with you? He reached out to me. I introduced him to you and Dr. G, and then you guys started talking, and he shared results with his liver, which weren't great. I'll let you talk about what the details are because I'm not a specialist or a medical professional, but I do take De-Liver-Ance and Golden Eagle vodka. And then he was put on a protocol from you. And then when he retested on July 19th, the day of the pig event, I know his results were dramatically different. And then he retested this week and got results yesterday that he shared with you and I. So why don't you share that short version? And then again, we will discuss this on a podcast that I'll release next week, which is an awesome story. And he will actually share it himself, but he was on an airplane. So he's missing this part. So go ahead, Siggi.
Absolutely. So Dennis was aware and about diagnosed with liver issues from his own physician in the Dallas area. He was introduced to De-Liver-Ance via a pig. He expressed some interest in it. We invited him in for a scan. We were able to help him. He had his own results from his own doctor, blood and scans. Put him onto a protocol of De-Liver-Ance when we were doing the biohacking conference in Dallas. He came down to the event. We gave him a scan. He had an interview and a consultation with our chief medical officer. We put him onto De-Liver-Ance. The scanning that we did confirmed what his doctor had told him. Took De-Liver-Ance onto his protocol. And what I thought was interesting, he didn't change his diet and he didn't change his drinking because he wanted to see a real world result. He came back about 2 months later to the pig event in Dallas at Dan's house. He was scanned again. His results were dramatically improved. Then another 2 weeks later, we were doing an event at the Fort Worth Club, which has a partner of ours and probably the most advanced health club I've ever seen. We gave him a scan there. Once again, the results had improved again. He then went independently 2 days ago to his physician in Dallas, got an MRI and a blood test that double confirmed everything that we had told him. And we essentially taken him from a position of fatty liver disease down to it's just slightly fatty. His bloods have improved. And when he told us, Dan and I, he had actually lost 10 pounds.
That's right.
Without any dietary change. His sleep is much better. His mental clarity is much better. And he's a living example of the benefits of the product, which, not being braggadocious, but there's about 4 or 5 pig members that have been taking it and tracking the biomarkers that we've already done that to. So the proof's in the pudding. I think that incentivized him enough to not only invest, but he wants to join as an active member of the company to be able to be which is actually really awesome. We were talking about in our board meeting today. He's going to come in and help us he's a logistics and a shipping fulfillment expert. That's why he's made all his money. He's going to then step into the company and participate not only as a user, a benefactor of the product, but actually as a team member and an investor.
Can I mention one thing? I did 2 of his scans at the pig event and then at the Fort Worth Club. And not only did his liver fat improve significantly, his stiffness improved as well.
It's awesome. Siggi, you're changing lives via pig. So we're changing lives. Good stuff. I love it. Okay. A couple of other questions here. By the way, someone asked if you could promote that testimonial. I'll let you answer that part, but I will tell you we're going to promote that testimonial because we're going to tell the long version of that story on a podcast tomorrow, and we're going to release it on YouTube. So I will be promoting that testimonial. Can you, Siggi?
Yes, we can have him do an independent testimonial. He can write it, and then we'll publish that as well, as long as he writes it. And good thing about this is not only how he feels, so there's beyond anecdotal, is it's backed up by scientific data done independently and then done again by us as well, both in fibroscans, MRIs, and blood tests, as well as his own personal benefits as well. So yeah, he's allowed to tell the truth, and we're allowed to share that.
While we're on scanning, before I get to the liver clinics, are there specific scanning tests necessary to properly compare to the baseline achieved at the pig party a few weeks ago?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I'm just trying to delineate that.
All right, I'll read it. I'll read it again as it was written. Are there specific scanning tests necessary to properly compare to the baseline achieved at the party weekend a few weeks ago?
Okay, so at the pig party, we did a technology which is called FibroScan, which is considered the gold standard within testing. It's not our technology. It's 140 countries across the U.S. Any major university in the U.S. or major hospital will have that. We choose to use that because it's best of class. It's more advanced than an ultrasound, and right below an MRI. So you could take an additional FibroScan to compare against that. You could take an MRI to compare against that. An ultrasound would not, because it's a little too basic, to be candid. The problem that we have in the United States is 38% of the population has fatty liver disease. 95% of people don't know it, and that's because it does not show up on a blood test. So people are running around getting a blood test, the liver shows fine, but that's not showing up if they got fatty liver. And then fatty liver is driving metabolic disease, metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, etc.
Well, that answered your question, Mark. You asked why we don't do blood tests. Okay, let's talk about the liver clinics. That's another part of revenue. And then after that, I want to wrap up the call here with some questions about the business itself from an investment standpoint. So talk about the liver clinics briefly, please.
All right. And this is incredibly important for the business model, is not only do we have a nutraceutical or phytomedicine product that's lightning in a bottle, but we've taken that a step further with diagnostics. So as I said earlier, you've got all these people that don't know they have the condition and it's not readily available. So, rather than Buddha waiting for the mountain to come to him, we're going to the mountain. And that is through making the diagnostics readily available to the public, either through us or through partners or through knowledge and availability. So we were actually trying to do an event at Fort Worth about a year ago, and there was nowhere in Fort Worth, the Dallas area, that we could send patients to get a FibroScan. All the doctors said, well, if they're sick, send them in. If not, we're not really interested. And what we've done is we've taken this technology and we're making it a frontline screening tool. So direct to consumer as well as screening. We're making it available to everybody. And a tagline, which was created by a brilliant guy from Kellogg, who was there for 40 years and who actually loved De-Liver-Ance, said, "What your liver score?" So what's your liver score? So we want to bring that into the public. What's your liver score? And we do that through a combination of questionnaire with a nutritionist, a blood test if possible, fibroscanning, MRI if necessary, biopsy, God forbid, if you need it at that point. So the liver clinic is an ability for us to be able to make liver awareness massive, and to actually create and help our customer base. And we realized, how do you turn a cost center into a profit center? And I didn't want to go raising 100 million pounds or $100 million to be going around opening up clinics all over the US and having that risk. So we said, well, how do we do this? And the concept was, let us create a liver clinic in a box that we can offer to existing doctors, clinic, and practitioners across the world. And then they can then buy that from us. We put that in, at a very low cost for them in a revenue sharing model. And in that, they have infrastructure, they have brick and mortar, they have staff, they have customers, they're known, liked, and trusted. So we partner with existing people and existing professionals and doctors and practitioners, and we put a liver clinic in their clinic. They now have a modality that can take care of all of their patients, not only doing the screening for us, but also they become our sales force. Our salespeople will not be a guy running around trying to blag a product. It'll be doctors, nurses, practitioners, nutritionists selling the product because they believe it and they understand science, they understand health, they understand data. So the liver clinic is the other arm of the company. You have the liver clinic, and then you have the phytomedicine, which is De-Liver-Ance as well. So we have combined, and if you think about it, it's a pretty brave move. We are not just saying, hey, here's a great product, believe in us and take it, like every other supplement in the world. We're saying our product is so incredible and so superior that we want you to go get your blood tested. We want you to go get a scan, and we will prove the results through data, evidence. And that's what we do. That's very different than no other company is doing.
So based on that, what's been the feedback from existing physicians to bring in the liver clinic, and are you getting a healthy appetite from others?
We're getting incredibly good appetite, to the point to where Mimi, who is a big investor, is how we got involved with the whole thing as well, has come on as a CEO and president. We have actually had to pump the brakes because we need to hire more staff to do account management and to be able to service these clinics, to be able to roll that out. We have no problem from a products perspective. We have no problem from the technology, the scanning, setting up the clinics. We actually need more people to nurture the clinics that are opening, because the demand right now is exceeding our ability to expand that. It's an easy fix, and to be candid, it's a very good problem to have. So yeah, no, the feedback is incredible.
All right. What is US versus UK growth? Tell us about that, and what mix do you feel it's going to be moving forward?
So we're based in the UK, but we realize that the US is a much bigger market. To give you a comparable, the American will spend 8x versus a British person on health and well-being. And then you take into account the country is obviously 7 times as large. It's a much bigger market. It's a much more open market. And because of how the healthcare system works in the US, Americans are used to paying for insurance, paying for medicine, which is different in the UK. So we feel that we should shift, our majority of focus to the US. So we've set up our US headquarter offices in Irvine and Orange County, and we are going to focus. We're going to go deep into California, Nevada, and Arizona before we go wide. We're really focused there as we spread east, but we already have clinics that have paid and are waiting to open in Texas, Florida, Georgia, Minnesota as well. So that's the strategy thus far.
All right, this is a great question.
US, by the way, it's important. It's American-made product, and just so everybody knows, I'm an American citizen and a British citizen as well. So this is an American-made product
with the accent from New Zealand. Okay, so this is a great question from Nick. As De-Liver-Ance scales, do we anticipate significant cost decrease? For normal people, the price point is a bit high for a daily supplement. Before you answer that, Nick already knows this, but Nick, we're not normal people, to be clear, right? But go ahead, Siggi.
Absolutely. So from a price perspective, I don't cut any corners on quality, so it's a higher price product to make. And while we're on small scale, it's always easy to come down on price. It's very difficult to go up. So we're focusing on the top 5% that can afford it. And we could be will be a multi-billion-dollar company by focusing on that segment. We don't need to be everything to everybody, but in the true feeling of being able to help people, as we get bigger, because of scales of economy, we can bring our costs down. Therefore, we can bring our costs down to the public, and then we'll work down amongst the population as well. But our focus is to really focus on that higher end market, such as Wynn Hotels, not Hilton, Peninsula versus this, And then from there, because people will also emulate what they do, and then we will move down. But no, it is not, it's not an inexpensive product, but comparatively, the closest drug that they have that isn't as effective as us, that just came out, is $55,000 a year with a 60% efficacy rate, takes 12 months to work, and has side effects up to yin yang, right? We're 2 to 3 grand a year with 90% efficacy with no side effects, and is all natural. So comparatively, we're in a very good position.
I liked your answer in Scottsdale. I asked you the exact same question Nick asked, and you said, this is essentially something that'll save your life, change your life for the cost of what you would get at Starbucks, which of course, hopefully no one here shops at Starbucks because we drink strong coffee. But notwithstanding that, this is the price, while not inexpensive, it's worth it for your health. I think if you ask Dennis, he'd probably agree with that.
Yeah, we're quality, not quantity.
Yep, right on. Okay, so then when we get to the investment vehicle, you're valued right now at $15 million. I know by the end of the summer, you want to change your valuation and increase it. So if anyone's on the fence or is interested, I would certainly advise you to get in. Like I mentioned earlier, if you've given me commitments, like many have, I don't often come collecting, but I think it's time now for Siggi to get some of this money so we can expand this business. So let's get after it there. But how do you, this is kind of maybe the $1 billion question, right? With a B, how do you take a company from $15 million and expect to then, in what you said, 4 to 5 years, sell for at least $1 billion? And I know the number you told me in private was significantly more than $1 billion, but let's say it is a B.
Right. So we have about 7 million in pounds, so about 9 million invested thus far in the production, which is incredibly low for what we produced. We are raising money currently. The pre-money valuation was 15. We're closing off the round, just so everybody's aware, and it's close to 20 million valuation. And you guys are basically catching the last end of that. The next round that actually opens up in September is at a 40 to 50 million valuation. That is we have 2 companies vying for that. We're going to raise about 15 million. Are
you talking pounds or dollars? Because I know some of the decks have separated it, right? You're 15 million value dollars, 18 million pounds.
Yeah, correct. 15 million is what we are raising in the next round. There's a little bit, there's some left thus far. So, and this is really important. I think this can kind of clarify it for everybody. This business is based off of kind of 3 metrics. Okay. If this is not a company where I produce a product for A, I sell it for B, here's my EBITDA, give me the multiple, right? That's a very basic. A guy was talking to you from Rothschild Bank, described it really eloquently. He said, what you have is a Rembrandt in the attic. And our business has 3 major valuation points, and it has 3 exit points that I feel, and people a lot smarter than me feel, could be in a $1 billion potential exit. The foundation of this house is a transactional business. We sell $150 million of the product. We have a 30% EBITDA. That EBITDA times X makes you worth this, right? That's a traditional business. That's a Red Bull. That's a Coke. That's a vodka. That's a normal business. You take that, and there's another layer to that, which will multiply that, which is the intellectual property. And the intellectual property is obviously it's the trademarks, the brands, the formulations, but the scientific aspects to where, which probably will happen, is a drug company is going to come in and say, well, we'd like to take this now and turn it into a drug. We're going to buy the intellectual rights to do that, or they'll partner and they'll say, we're going to pump in 100 million to do massive FDA clinical trials to turn this into a pharmaceutical, right? That's another one that's multiplied it. But the Rembrandt, and that's the house. The Rembrandt in the attic of this house is the data. And why the clinics are so vital to what we're doing is to open 1,000 liver clinics globally, is we're going to be collecting data from a perspective of, because remember, you talk to a nutritionist. Who are you? What do you eat? What are your lifestyles? How much do you sleep? Blood test data, scan data, liver data, MRI data. We're taking that and we're building incredibly great profiles of our customers, but we're not selling the data. That's for us to be able to produce other products and to produce very positive outcomes for our patients and our customers. But as Professor Jalan said, and anybody that you repeat this to will tell you, a drug company would bite their own arm off for that data. And that data is incredibly valuable as well. So there's three avenues that we're working at to get us into $1 billion valuation: transactional business, intellectual property, and the data play. If any of those come off, we're in an incredibly great position. My goal is to make all three of those go off and to triumvirate that valuation.
I'm guessing the barriers of you getting to where you want to get are probably why we're on the call right now. Is because you need capital, correct?
Capital and a good win, we're there.
All right. Well, speaking of the win, and actually just since well, let me ask one more question. I have to wrap it up simply because I'm recording this for the first time, and I know there's a time limit on this recording, so I want to make sure we don't get cut off. Quick, what is the approximate cost investment for a clinic to add the liver kits in your world? And do they have to be a medical office, or can they be a non-medical wellness center, or like a chiropractor or cryotherapy or something like that? Go.
As long as it meets our criteria, because we're not we're going to be a little particular who we partner with, but essentially for $10,000 and you meet our criteria, you can have a $150,000 setup in your clinic with the revenue share basis with us, creating a recurring revenue for you with the deliverance and the scanning, which is also billable to insurance. So we've tried to make that barrier to entry as low as possible. So we don't want clinics to have to spend 120 grand on a machine. As I told a clinic this morning, I'd rather give us 10, I'll put the clinic in you, and I'd rather you spend that money in marketing to make your clinic bigger, which promotes more scanning, promotes the liver clinic, promotes the product. So we've made it incredibly low. You could not replicate it for what we're doing at the price because of unique relationships we have set up with the manufacturers of EchoSense. And we're the only fucking one in town, excuse my French, with the solution. We have the therapeutic with the diagnostic, which is awesome.
Now you're throwing France in this? I mean, New Zealand, England, US, and come on. Juan, the answer is no. He just said it. It does not have to be medical offices. Okay. As we wrap up, I just want everyone to know who's on the call and who's going to watch this started as a passion project of mine. Nothing worse than losing your best friend and mentor, the guy who's brought me to the business that I'm in right now for 24 years, which is the mortgage side. Essentially introduced me to my wife, who eventually we have two great kids. Just about almost anything in my adult life came from my mentor, Mike. And when he passed of this, it stung and it still stings. And to now have an opportunity to partner, see that you're changing lives all the time. What you're doing with Dennis is amazing. And as we grow it as a business, which of course also matters, it really matters to me. So it's a passion project. And then if I can do just some quick a pig bragging, I think it's great that a 5-time pig investor in Mimi Summerman, my 25-year friend, is the president of your company. I think that's great. I think it's pig investor Dennis Drake. Life has changed and maybe has extended for decades because of our pig introduction to you, Siggi. For those who don't know, I introduced Mimi and Steve to the Win Deal. The Win Deal is going to be in 5,200 rooms per night, and it's going to be a giant revenue stream for De-Liver-Ance and Equilibrium Labs. It's going to be huge, and it's going to help all of us who are investors get in it. I also have a relationship with the person who is my contact at the Win, who is eventually going to give a pig Win discount for any pig investor to be able to get in Win, which is where I usually stay when I go in for my fights or for Raider games, like we're doing, Ryan, here in the next month. And my wife and I are going to the Win Hotel for my fight here in 2 weeks. So there's a lot of you've got 7 layers of separation to Kevin Bacon. There's like 20 layers of separation to pig. So I got to tell you, I really, really appreciate you, Siggi. This was not only informative just from a consumer standpoint, from a health and medical standpoint, but I think from an investment standpoint, I think you have a grand slam in this company. I'm not only blessed and honored, but super appreciated that you're part of this. And due to the fact that I have to lose 12 pounds in the next 10 days, and I'm extremely irritable and everything hurts, I am taking 3 of these a day, and hoping that this can reduce my inflammation and help me cut some weight for an upcoming tournament. So I will keep you posted on that, Siggi. So thanks for staying up. It is now 11 p.m. London time. Thank you, everyone. We just hit the 1 hour time frame here. If you have follow-up questions and we missed some of yours, text me. I'll introduce you to Siggi. Loveyourliver.com, and you can get a Powerhouse Dan discount if you use that. And if you want samples, let me know. But I really, really appreciate you being on this, and thank you so much, Siggi. This is, I like all the investments, right? I love eating at restaurants, OC Local. I love a healthy coffee with all the stuff that I need, my protein and stuff, strong coffee. I love to get hammered, and I've got Golden Eagle vodka. And I love the fact that renewable energy is saving money on electricity, and that's Reva Solar. I really love that we have something that's going to change our lives. So thank you very much, Siggi, and thank you everyone for being on the call.
Yeah, thank you everybody for listening and taking the time to listen to that as well. And I'm in good company. I really massively appreciate all the other brands. So it's nice to be in an excellent peer group.
Thank you, Siggi.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Mhm.